Hello everyone and welcome to the inaugural webinar of the Biochars for Pollution Prevention Working Group of the Environmental Biotechnology Network. I'm Meredith. I'm a lecturer in Chemical and Energy Engineering at London South Bank University, and I coordinate this working group. So our webinar today will focus on biochar in environmental biotechnology. We have two exciting talks lined up for you today, but first I'm just going to introduce the working group and talk about some future events that we have planned. So there's a QR code on this page. If you scan it, you can actually sign up to the working group, and that will enable me to notify you about any future events and also make you eligible for any travel funds that we might have for those events. For those of you who aren't aware, the Environmental Biotechnology Network is a UKRI-funded network in industrial biotechnology and bioenergy. It's one of 6 funded through 2024. EBNet specifically focuses on creating and optimizing engineered microbial systems for environmental protection, bioremediation, and resource recovery. And the working groups of EBNet are intended to bring together people working in similar areas within a subset of this remit. So the biochar working group specifically focuses on the use of biochar for pollution prevention and environmental remediation, particularly as applied to microorganisms. So this can be either in terms of killing, removing, or preventing the release of harmful microorganisms, or in terms of seeding bioremediative microorganisms for the purpose of pollutant degradation. Of those of you who have signed up to the working group already, more than 90% are in academia. So we really want to encourage some participation from industry, policy, and the third sector. There's about an even split between postgrad students, postdocs, and academics in the working group, and 75% of members are based in the UK, and actually 20% are based in London. So future events will likely be held in London, both because we have a large proportion of members based there and because I can book rooms at London South Bank University. Pretty much all of the working group members said that they were interested in attending member talks, so webinars like this, as well as in-person events like symposia and workshops. There was also a good amount of interest in policy and industry outreach style events, and I'll let you know what we have planned with respect to those in a moment. There was also a good amount of interest in lab visits, in developing collaborative funding proposals, and in travel funds to attend conferences as a cohort. So for those types of activities, I need you to reach out to me directly if you're interested. So if you would like working members to tour your lab, or if you have a call in mind that you want to submit a proposal to, but you need to develop a team, or you need people with specific expertise, I have a list of the research areas of all of the working group members, so if you reach out to me, hopefully I can connect you with the right people. And for conferences, if you are presenting relevant work, so a full talk within the remit of the working group at a conference, or you're even thinking about applying, like submitting an abstract to a conference on relevant work, then tell me as soon as possible, because if we have enough people giving talks on relevant work at the same conference, then we can potentially get some travel funds to attend that conference as a cohort. And then finally, most people were interested in networking events as well, and I think the best way to include those is just to tack them onto other in-person events like the member talks and the outreach style events. So there was the most interest in online event attendance, but 2/3 of members said that they would also attend in person if travel was funded, and half would attend even if travel wasn't funded. So I think in this year, which is the last year of EBNet's funding, we should focus on in-person events specifically to make use of those potential travel funds that we have access to. So I'm planning to host an industry outreach event later this year. The focus could either be on biochar and environmental biotechnology, so sort of spot on the remit, or we could go a little bit broader than microorganisms and talk about biochar and pollution. Or we could even go broader than biochar, but sort of focus back on the biotechnology aspect by talking about how thermochemical and biological biomass conversion pathways can interact. We would have working group members as well as biochar manufacturers and end users at this event. And I'm thinking about hosting it at LSBU in September. The timing is not set in stone, so if you have an opinion on that, do let me know. So we would have working group members present industrial collaborations or industry relevant research. We would have an industry panel to discuss their interests, capabilities, capacities, and limitations to sort of encourage collaboration with working group members. And we would also have a consensus building activity where we would discuss the importance, so in terms of sustainability, environmental protection, etc., as well as the market potential of different biochar applications, production technologies, and performance metrics. And then, of course, we would have some networking. So please let me know if you are interested in notionally attending an industry outreach event like this, and if so, when works for you, and would you be able to travel to London? Would you need travel funds? That kind of thing. I'm also thinking about hosting a policy outreach event, possibly in summer, and that would focus on how we can use biochar to achieve UK regulatory targets. So this would include working group members, policymakers, and policy researchers. And as I said, I'm thinking about hosting it in summer, and we would actually be able to host it in Parliament because one of our working group members is a senior policy researcher in the office of a peer. So we would have working group members present policy relevant research or impact case studies. We would have a policy researcher join us from a think tank to discuss the relevant UK regulatory strategies, so the 25-year environment plan, net zero, clean growth, or the AMR National Action Plan. One of our working group members, Dr. Paul Unger-Unfady, would discuss how academics can engage with policy to create impact. And Baroness Bennett of Manor Castle, ex-leader of the Green Party and current Green peer, would discuss social considerations in environmental policy and research. And then finally, we'd have some sort of interactive mapping activity where we would talk about which applications and technologies of related to biochar could contribute to which regulatory strategies. And then, of course, some networking. So let me know if you'd be interested in this type of policy outreach event. I'm trying to gauge interest before I commit to hosting this. So just to recap, please do get in touch with me. Send me an email. My email is on this slide. If you are presenting or submitting relevant work to a conference, if you want to host a lab visit, or if you're looking for collaborators with specific expertise or capabilities within the working group remit. Finally, we are having a working group animation made, and I want your input on what should be included. So currently, I think that we should introduce what biochar is, say that it's renewable, it can be waste derived, it's porous, and that high surface area is what allows it to interact with microorganisms. We can touch on the fact that it's durable, so the sort of carbon storage aspect that's quite popular. And then we introduce the fact that biochars can interact with microorganisms, either through absorption or as a growth substrate. And then talk about how this interaction can be used to reduce pollution. So we can either reduce harmful microorganisms in the environment by, for example, filtering wastewater, sequestering pathogens in soil or waterways, or even reducing the chemicals that drive antimicrobial resistance in the environment. Or we can add helpful microorganisms to the environment, seeding either microorganisms that can degrade pollutants or that can outcompete pathogens. So I'm sure I haven't covered every aspect of this field here. So if you have an idea of what else should be included in this animation to describe our working group, then please send me an email and I'll make sure that it's included. So once again, thank you so much for attending our webinar today or watching the recording if you aren't here with us live. And remember that you can scan this QR code to join the working group, and we'll make sure to notify you about the events that I described today as soon as we have more information. Thanks again. Bye.